Hi everyone, greetings and welcome to another video. Today we will be making a knife pleated skirt, and the measurements that we would need are the length of the skirt and the waist of the person wearing the skirt. So if you're wearing the skirt, it will be the length that you want it to be and your waist measurement. All right, great. So I have my fabric folded here. So I have self edge here, I have my two self edges here and my two self edges here on the other side. So it's two layers of fabric I put together. So I fold the fabric and I lay them one on top of the other with the right sides facing each other. So I have self edge here, self edge here, right? So we firstly start by doing our construction lines because we have to create a rectangle. So from the edge of the fabric, you're going to measure in 1 inch and you put a mark. So you measure in 1 inch here, you put a mark there, and then 1 inch on the bottom here, you put a mark, and then you take your rule and you draw a line and we connect here. Great. So for the other lines now, we are going to need to do some calculations of the waist. So we have our waist measurement here. We're going to multiply this waist measurement by 3. When we times 36 by 3, we get 108. We get 108 inches. Then we go and we divide this 108 by 2. When we divide 108 by 2, we get 54. Final number, which is 54, we're going to measure 54 from this construction line, this 1 inch line, going to the other self edge. So I find 54 in my measuring tape and I place it right on top of the line, and I am measuring it all the way to the other end. And wherever that stops, I will put a mark. All right, great. So I'll go again and I'll measure 54. And this line here is of no specific length. It's just an average based on the length of the skirt. And I put a mark there. So I'm going to take my rule again and connect. So here is just an average line again. So we will now straighten our fabric if it is not straight. So my fabric has lines that I can follow, but if yours does not, you just take your rule. If you have the meter rule, you can use that, and you draw your line right across here. We'll start now by adding some seam allowance. So we'll add half of an inch seam allowance here because this is the top now. This is the waist of our skirt, right? So we're adding half of an inch. So we measure half inch down and we put some little marks. And then we would connect the marks with a straight line. So I'll go ahead and pin this side together. Measure the length of our skirt and add our allowance for hem. So remember, this half inch here is for the allowance for the waistband. So we're going to add the length of our skirt now. So we're measuring this downwards from the bottom line. So we're going 19 inches, since our length is 19 inches. We're going 19 inches down. And then we're adding 1.5 for our hemming. So we're going to do this right throughout the fabric. 19 inches for our length, and then 1.5 inch for the hemming. So now we're going to go and connect it all right across with a straight line. In case that our lines here don't meet up, they don't match, we just square them across and align them. Good. And then on this end here, we're going to put 1 inch outwards. We're going to measure 1 inch outwards, and this will be our seam allowance for stitching the side seam. Straight line. So here we have our completed skirt pattern, which is 19 inches in length by 36 inches in waist, and we will pleat this up to bring it back to 36 waist. All right, so now we're gonna cut our waistband, and for the waistband you just need a single piece of fabric. So we're gonna just fold the rest of the fabric underneath so we have enough to cut the waistband. So now The height of the waistband, or how broad the waistband is, it depends on your personal preference. But today I'm going to go with 4.5 inches, which includes allowance and everything. So I would have already cut here straight, so I'm just measuring 4.5 inches up from here. The width of the waistband would be your waist measurement plus 4 inches. So my waist measurement is 36. So 36 plus 4 takes me to 40. So from the end of the fabric, I'm coming here and I'm measuring 40 inches. And I'll just cut this out. Band and my skirt. You guys can see better, but the rest is on here. So on this side, we're stitching from one end to the other, straight on this line here. But on this end here, we are putting in our zip. So what we do, we are going to measure our zip. So here I have my skirt zipper, and I am placing my zipper to the direct end of my fabric, to the top of my fabric, because this is my waist and this is the hem. So this little shine thing on this little metal clip like on the zipper is called the stop. So we're measuring 1/2 inch above the stop, but we're putting the mark on the line. So 1/2 inch above the stopper, right? And I'm putting a mark here. So when I go to the sewing machine, I'm stitching from this mark and I'm stitching all the way down here. And on this side, I'm stitching from the top all the way down. So my zipper will be inserted on this side of the zip with the self edge, on this side of the fabric with the self edge, and the other side will be stitched right through. Here we are at the sewing machine, and we're about to start sewing. So this is the top, and this is the bottom for the hemming. So we're stitching this side, as I said previously, from the top all the way to the bottom. And this is the other side, which has the marking for the zip that we previously did, 1/2 inch above the stopper. So we're just gonna stitch up to. So what I like to do, I would fold the fabric on the line that I would draw on the chalk line, and I just notch it like this. I remove the pins to insert the zip now. So there's the notch there. So I just fold the fabric back on the notch. I'll fold it, kind of crease it with my fingers, and then I'll begin to insert the zip. So I line up the zipper and the fabric, and I'll just start sewing. When I'm almost to the bottom, I'll put the needle through the fabric, and I'll go ahead and close the zipper, making sure that everything is flat and neat. And then I'll continue stitching up to the point of the opening. I'll turn, making sure it's flat, and then I pinch it again on the other fold, and I lay that flat on top of the zip. Now I'm doing a lap method zip, so I should not see the zip teeth. We fold the fabric back and then we turn. So the fabric is this way, I turn it this way so that I can stitch and I can come all the way up. And here I have my at the serger now. And what the serger does, the serger neatens the edge, the raw edge of the fabric. So this is the side where we stitch from top to bottom. Where we stitch from top to bottom. So I'm going to open this. Alright, this is called a flat open seam. And I'm opening this and I'm serging this end and this end. Now if you do not have a serger and you have one of the regular domestic machines, you can do a zigzag stitch. If you do not have a serger or you do not know how to do the zigzag stitch, you could just fold the end and you do a stitch, a straight stitch right through to prevent the fabric from raveling. So I'll just begin to serge. Right, so I neaten the raw edges of the fabric. So we're back on the machine, the straight stitch machine. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hem the bottom. Now, I advise hemming before you pleat, so you will not have the cause to remove your pleats in order to hem. So we're going to keep our seams flat open, and the allowance that we would have left, it's 1.5 inch, right? 1.5 inches. So we're going to fold up half, and then we're going to fold one. So we're folding 1/2 inch first, and then we fold 1 inch. And this is how we're going to do the hem for the skirt. So now that we would have completed putting in the zip and hemming the bottom, we will start to do our pleats. And the simplest way I can tell you to do the pleats, I'm working from the end with the zipper here, right? So I am marking 2 inches. So at every 2 inch, I will put a mark. So I put a mark at 2, 4, 6, 8, and I will continue marking the entire fabric. So I will mark the top, to do our pleat. Now that we have our marks, we will take the first mark. So we count it in threes basically. So we count 1, 2, 3. So we take the first mark, we pinch it on the first mark, and we lift the fabric and we fold it over to the third. So we're pinching the first mark, we skip the second one, let the second one fold under, and we place it in line with the third mark. And I like to pin the top like this with 2 pins, and the bottom I'll just put 1 pin. So it's the same thing. The first mark, we pinch it and we bring it to the third mark, and for the bottom I'll just put 1 pin. And then when you pull it flat, there you have a knife. Pleat again, the first to the third, and I'm going to pleat the skirt all the way around off camera, and then I'll show you how to attach the waistband. So after ironing, this is what it looks like. I have all the pleats pinned down and ironed. So we finished pressing it here, ironing it there, and we have the zipper here, the hemming on the bottom, and here. So we go to the machine and we do a stitch right on top. You measure back the waist to ensure that it comes back to your waist, and it should. So we put a small stitch right on top here to hold all of the pleats in place, and then we attach the waistband to insert or to attach the waistband. So I have the waistband here. So what I will do, I'll fold the waistband in half, right sides facing each other, of course, and I'll stitch in a little L. So this is the little L here that I would have stitched in. All right, it's just about 1.5 inches. I'm trimming the ends, and I'll go ahead and turn it over. I'll turn it over and I'll push out the corners. And right here where it folds, I'm putting a notch on the side of the waistband that is away from me. So this is the side towards me, and this is the side away from me. So I'm putting a notch here. Now I have here the waist of the skirt with all of the pins. Now you can choose, if you're not confident, you can choose to run a stitch to secure all of the pleats in place and then attach the waistband. But I'm more comfortable doing it. I can do it with just adding the waistband directly. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have here the zip, the end with the zipper, and the little piece that I cut, I'm placing it right at the edge here, and I'm going to stitch all the way through. Just about 1/2 inch. And I make sure. So if there's any extra fabric here, you can just cut about 1 inch away from where it ends, so like here. Now this is a different length of waistband because I'm actually sewing 8 different skirts, so I'm just taking you through the process of it. So I could safely remove the pin. So now that I remove my pins, you can go ahead and push everything upwards and give it a good iron for neatness. All right, so what happens is this is the right side and this is the wrong side. On the wrong side, I'm sandwiching this extra, this seam allowance here, this half inch. I'm sandwiching it in between the waistband and then folding the raw edge of the waistband under. So from underneath here, I am folding this here, folding the waistband and laying it flat onto the skirt, but I am stitching it from the top. Okay.